Today, I'd like to talk about famous American Catholic woman, Dorothy Day, who lived from 1897 to 1980, who died on November 29th. And this year, of course, is the 41st anniversary of her death. Dorothy Day and Peter Morin founded the Catholic Worker Movement in the 1930s. It is a volunteer-based organization serving the poor and the homeless. And basically, what Dorothy and Peter took a look at is the need that people had for food, the need they had for clothing, and the need they had for a home. And they tried to, in some way, provide those things and help people. They lived in a difficult era. There was a threat that the government, various charities and churches, would not have the resources to meet the needs of the people during the Depression. And so it was a difficult time, a challenging time that they lived in. So the houses of hospitality were founded to meet those needs, in some way to help people, to give them a new start, to give them a good meal, to give them some fellowship, to reach out to them. And as Dorothy always said, to see Christ in them. They were Christ coming to you, and you tried to respond to them and help them in whatever way you could. For example, the Dorothy Day House of Hospitality in Memphis today really is an updated approach to help the homeless. So even though Dorothy has been dead 41 years, this work continues. People see the value in this work and they try to adapt it to, well, what are the needs of the homeless today? How can I help them get a fresh start? How can I help them start over? How can I give them hope and new opportunities? And most importantly, seeing Jesus in them. They come to you as Jesus. Dorothy was raised in a nominally Protestant family. It was not a usually religious family. But interesting, in her autobiography, The Long Loneliness, she talks about a crucial time in her life where something stuck with her. And she was going into a friend's house to get something, and she noticed the mother was kneeling down, praying the rosary. And this always stuck with Dorothy, seeing this woman in prayer. It really gave her a sense that there must be something to this Catholic faith, this Catholic religion. She became a Catholic in 1928. She was part of a group of radicals consisting of many artists. Eugene O'Neill, the playwright, was one of them. And she associated with them and really knew them well, and they celebrated a lot together. A lot of them were agnostic, atheists, had no religion. But Dorothy was attracted to their spirit of inquiry, to their intelligence, also to their sense of humor and their joy at having a good time. She admired the saints, though, and interestingly, she was part of this group, but she did admire the saints, but she wondered why the saints just ministered to the slaves, but did not do away and try to do away with the institution of slavery. So she saw this in two ways. She saw, yes, the importance of ministering to people that are in need, but also raising some questions about why they were in need. She first went to jail in 1917 because she was involved in the suffragette movement, trying to get women the right to vote. So Dorothy was not afraid of standing up for her beliefs. She was not afraid of getting jailed. She was jailed many times in her life. And really had a philosophy of if you're not jailed when there is injustice, then there's something the matter with you. And so you have to stand up for those things that are wrong. She also had an abortion when she was 22 years old. She was involved in a failed relationship, and so she turned to abortion. Her daughter, though, was born in 1927, Tamar. She was a single parent. She supported herself as a freelance journalist. The father of her child did not believe in marriage. He was not a person of faith. He was upset that Tamar was baptized, but they maintained a very positive, loving relationship throughout his life. There was a love there, but there was something lacking in terms of the religious aspect of it. The Catholic Worker newspaper appeared in May of 1933. Originally, 2,500 copies were distributed, and they were distributed by hand, given out by hand. The circulation grew to 190,000 by 1938, but then dropped to 50,000 during World War II because of the pacifist viewpoint. So they embraced the idea that war is wrong, and they were against all wars. They tried to find alternatives to war. So because of that, people were like, well, we can't support this movement any longer. And so there was a drop in circulation, but then it went back again. Today, over 80,000 copies of the paper are in circulation each time it's published. Dorothy wrote 8 books, 350 articles, over 1,000 articles for the Catholic Worker newspaper. So she was a prolific writer. She was also a heavy smoker, but then she went cold turkey and gave up her smoking. Went to Mass every day, confession every week, went on retreats frequently. So you can see that she was a woman of much spirituality. She helped in the founding of Pax Christi USA, which would be kind of a natural outgrowth of the pacifism of the Catholic worker. The idea that if we're followers of Jesus, we can't take up arms, we can't fight, we have to be people of peace, we have to find another way. And so we have to resist evil, we have to resist injustice, but we have to do it in a nonviolent way. She was the friend of many bishops and cardinals, but she was also very critical of the church. So you have this kind of relationship where she was certainly a very devout Catholic, very loving Catholic, took her faith very seriously. As I said, daily Mass. So she very much believed in her faith, but she could also be critical of the church, critical of the wealth of the church, critical of the support of the church for war. So she combined really doing the works of mercy, doing the works of charity, with a critique of the society that gave rise to it. So she would ask, well, why is there this problem with poverty? Why is there this problem with homelessness? What causes it? What is the matter with our country that we don't have a better handle on this? There must be some underlying issues, underlying problems, underlying injustices, underlying inequities. And she was very active in the movement for civil rights to really make sure that all people were included. She was, as I said, jailed frequently. The last time she was jailed was in 1969 when she was 76 years old. She was protesting with Cesar Chavez and the United Farm Workers, who were trying to get a union to get a just and a fair wage for the farm workers. On her gravestone, very interesting, there were loaves and fishes and a very simple saying, Deo gratias, thanks be to God. And the loaves and fishes, of course, signifying what her life was all about in terms of the multiplication of the loaves and fishes, kind of a figure of the Eucharist for Jesus, but also the idea of reaching out to feed others, to nourish others, to help others, both spiritually and physically. In a speech before Congress in 2015, Dorothy was cited as one of 4 great Americans by Pope Francis. Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Merton, and Martin Luther King Jr. were the others. Dorothy was an amazing woman, certainly a woman of deep faith, a woman we can look back and say, well, she had an abortion. How is it possible that there can be a cause for canonization? But yet, people do make mistakes in their life, do things that they maybe later on regret, get caught in various situations, have conversion moments. Dorothy struggled with a lot of things when she was younger, and then came to a different understanding about her life and faith and how to help others and reach out to others. An amazing woman. Had a personal experience with Dorothy. I was at a conference at the house in Tivoli, the Catholic Worker House, a peace conference. And this woman came up to me and we got into a little conversation about peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, of all things. And I did not know it was her. And later on, she introduced the speaker at the conference. And, oh, Dorothy, very approachable, very wonderful woman. And you could sense from her a deep spirituality, a deep compassion for other people, but yet a firm commitment to justice, a firm commitment to following Jesus completely, and a firm commitment to helping other people in whatever way she could. A good role model, I think, for all of us.